How do we keep people buying when they literally had no money left? The financial tech industry looked at the pharmaceutical playbook. During the opioid crisis, pharmaceutical companies, they ain't created human pain. They just created a drug that numbed it and marketed it as non-habit forming, and then convinced the doctors to prescribe it to millions of their patients. FinTech did the exact same thing with financial debt. In the 1980s, the mass media used television to show us how the top 1% live, but television had a limit. You can actually turn it off. But today, carry that same pressure in your pocket. The internet killed the local neighborhood standard. See, back in the day, if you had a fresh pair of shoes, nice fit, in your neighborhood, you were thriving. Your baseline for social survival and social acceptance was grounded in your immediate surroundings and your immediate reality. The algorithm totally erased that. It forced you to compare your everyday behind-the-scenes life to the curated highlight reels of global wealth, artificially inflated to a standard that 99% of the population could never organically afford. The desire began being engineered by Wall Street in the 1920s, and the social pressure was maximized by the algorithms by the mid-2010s. So there was only one problem left for the modern financial system to solve. How do we keep people buying when they literally had no money left? When the traditional credit cards maxed out, the financial tech industry looked at the pharmaceutical playbook. During the opioid crisis, pharmaceutical companies, they ain't created human pain. They just created a drug that numbed it and marketed it as non-habit forming, and then convinced the doctors to prescribe it to millions of their patients. FinTech did the exact same thing with financial debt. So what the FinTech industry did was rebrand the debt. They removed the scary terms like interest and minimum balance and renamed it paying for. They took a $1,200 luxury price tag that normally triggered a sharp biological defense mechanism in your brain, and they administered you a financial anesthetic. See, by breaking that $1,200 payment down into 4 $300 payments or 6 $200 payments, they temporarily numb the sting of the purchase. You don't feel the damage at checkout the same, so it make your brain register the item as affordable. See, before then we had Layaway, and you could put your item away and pay on it, but it forced you to be grounded in the reality of what you can actually afford at the time. And at points in time, it even became a running joke when you put something on Layaway.
Layaway was it in the 70s. My mother was the queen of Layaway. My mama buy $400 worth of clothes and go put down $1 a month.
You kind of end up being shunned, looked at as you really can't afford what it is that you are trying to buy. So you had to put it on Layaway. But it forced you to make more disciplined decisions based on where you were financially at the time. Just like the pharmaceutical company incentivized the doctors with kickbacks to push the pills, buy now, pay later companies pitch retailers with a prompt: integrate the button on your website and your customer will spend 45% more. Retailers knew their customers couldn't afford those carts, but they prescribed the payment plan anyway. They don't check if you drowning in debt. Sting, that pain, it didn't disappear. It was just deferred. Average user ain't using buy now, pay later as a budgeting tool. They are stacking micro debt just to maintain their illusion of status by an algorithm that don't care if they survive. Buy now, pay later companies just prove that we willing to stack the micro debt just to afford the physical illusion of wealth. On top of that, the tech conglomerates looked at that and realized something even more profitable. Why bother dealing with the shipping, the supply chains, physical material, when you can just sell the status directly? The ultimate revolution of renting your self-worth. Originally, that blue check mark, yeah, that verified badge, yeah, that was considered a digital velvet rope. It meant you had some actual cultural weight in whatever way. You couldn't buy it, had to earn it by actually being somebody that the culture cared about at least. The system knows that human beings have a biological desperate need to be seen, so they removed the cultural requirement and replaced it with a toll booth. For $15 a month, you allowed to rent them pixels. You ain't buying a product, you ain't buying a service, you are financing an identity. You are paying a monthly subscription just so the algorithm won't hide your existence from the world. Renting pixels to starve off social exile. Even if you rent the little blue check mark, You still gotta feed the algorithm the photos and videos of the physical luxury just to prove you deserve it. How does the culture rebel? Some people decide to fight the matrix. They don't realize they're walking right into another trap, into the rip culture, the high-tier counterfeit. These ain't just your typical Canal Street and swap meet knockoff of the 90s. These are super fakes, the 101 888 replicas, often made in the same factory, using the same leather with the exact same craftsmanship. The system's still winning because it dictates your choices, even when you think you're the one rebelling. And this weight don't just crush the working class. Ultimate proof that this luxury is about hierarchy is found when the elite begin to panic. And the replicas get too good when the average person can access the same aesthetic for cents on the dollar. The truly rich, they get furious. Why is that? Because they know dirty secret. They never paid the high price tags for the movement, for the art of it. They paid it to establish their place in the caste system. They paid for a physical sign to say, I'm not you. They ain't gotta feel the sting that you feel. They don't have to use the buy now, pay later. They want to maintain that vertical distance. They want to maintain their place in the hierarchy. You can see this in the example of how people responded to the colorful, cheaper Audemars watches.
AP, what's up, man? What's going on? I done spent $200,000 on one of y'all watches.
APs are up in the echelon of how much money you have to save to finally get one. So this just feels, I don't know, in my opinion, cheap.
But hey, man, we can only expose the cartel for so long. We gotta address the accomplice. We gotta look in the mirror and admit the core truth. We ain't actually being tricked no more. Stopped being tricked a long time ago. We know the shoes cost $4 to manufacture that they sell to us from $200 to $1,500. We know the diamond is just compressed carbon mark. We know that blue check mark is just the arrangement of pixels on the screen. We know the math don't make sense. We do it for our primal biological fear, looking poor and being socially exiled, and we allow that to be stronger than our financial logic. We are literally funding our own mental prison because we are terrified of the outside cold. The story ain't never been about the object. We buy it to satisfy the primitive, ancient part of the brain that we belong. True autonomy ain't buying the most expensive thing in a room just to prove you exist. True autonomy is realizing you don't need the room's permission to exist. The system didn't invent the human need for status. It just put an interest rate on our fear of being left behind. So the next time you about to hit purchase on that luxury item, just ask yourself, are you buying product or renting an illusion? Peace.